Okay, so after about a 3-week or so break, we're finally back and we have the 352 spoilers, and it's looking like in this chapter we're finding out who's going to win between Shoto and Dabi, and a few other little interesting things here and there, but let's get into it. The chapter begins with a flashback of the students in the school dorms the night before the war started. Deku is questioning whether Shoto will actually fight his brother, and he says it is his duty because he's not so sure whether Endeavor will keep his word, and Dabi is a reflection of the Todoroki's family sins. So I think this might be in reference to the flashback that we saw in the previous chapter of Shoto speaking with Endeavor before this all started. Endeavor was kind of on the fence of whether he wanted Shoto to actually fight Dabi, and that maybe he would have had to take care of it himself because he kind of, in a way made Dabi, so maybe he felt that it was like his responsibility, but then Shoto was like, no, have to do this. And, we saw how things turned out. Shoto is in fact fighting Dabi, and Endeavor went on to fight All For One in their group. Also guys, if you like my spoiler videos and you haven't subscribed yet, could you please subscribe? A lot of you consistently watch them, but you don't do that, so maybe you just need a reminder. So thanks guys. He then shows the special technique he developed and makes his chest light up. Deku remembers the training he was doing, and Kaminari starts poking it, saying that it doesn't burn even if he touches it. But it's hard for Shoto to keep focusing. So this is pretty cool, and this goes back to what we saw at the end of the previous chapter, Shoto revealing his own proprietary flash fire fist, something that he said he developed to take down Dabi specifically, and he also hit him with that phosphorus attack. But I like that they're shedding light on the flame aesthetic that he and Endeavor bear, because it's something that I've always wondered, and like whenever I watch My Hero with like casual or something, they'll point out Endeavor's flames and they'll say like, are they not burning him or anyone else, or what's going on with that? And I suppose we're just supposed to do a little lifting for it and say like, oh well, he's Endeavor, I guess he mastered his quirk to the point of where he can just make his flames not hot and just have a cool aesthetic with them. Shoto then explains that it consists of applying the properties of Flash Fire Fist to both sides of his body simultaneously, using the heart as the center, making the hot and cold blood circulate throughout his body and come into balance. But first, let's talk about today's sponsor, and that's Fandomaniacs. So guys, Fandomaniacs is one of my favorite sponsors because they do a good job and they're really easy to work with. So they're a fun and quirky team who are obsessed in creating things that you are obsessed with. They're the perfect place to find apparel and merch based on your favorite TV shows, movies, and games. And since this is a battle anime and manga channel, they have tons of battle anime and manga stuff, such as this sweet My Hero Friends shirt. I love this shirt because it's like so cool, and I guarantee that you're going to impress all the people that you want to impress in your life if you wear this yourself. Also have this sweet Todoroki shirt, and it has an awesome decal on the back. They also have so much more great stuff on the site, guys. Please check it out for yourself. So guys, if you want some of this sweet merch for yourself that I promise is going to look great on you, check the link in the description and also use code ZONE10 for 10% off. Thanks guys. Midoriya says it's like a cold fire, and Shoto begins to get lost in thoughts, saying that his father wanted a perfect son who could use ice to reduce the heat in his body, but in fact he is walking a path in the opposite direction. He himself has found a meaning to his existence, and because of this, he smiles at Deku. That's my power. Thank you. So yeah, it's looking like we're coming full circle with Shoto here, and he's having his, dare I say, final or one of his final character arcs. And this is going to be a recurring theme with most of the significant characters in these next couple chapters, because while I'm sure most of us know, I need to keep reminding you guys because, some of you aren't aware that this is the final arc of the series. So things like this are going to continue to happen, and we're going to have like these final impactful significant moments with these characters that we've kind of been waiting for. We cut back to the present with Shoto using another attack, Freezing Blow, White Blade of Frosty Fire. He says that this way Dabi may cool his head a little. Dabi is thrown backwards by the impact, but shoots pillars of flames from his hands to balance himself up. Okay, so coming back to the end of the previous chapter, we saw Shoto use the phosphorus attack, and it's possible that he may have taken Dabi's legs off with that attack. I'm not entirely sure. I don't want to confirm that because I can't fully see these panels. Maybe some of you can. But either Dabi lost his legs from that attack, or maybe it was this attack, or maybe Dabi just kind of did it to himself, you know, by continuing to use his flames and he like melted his own legs off. Or it's even possible he didn't lose his legs. I'm just saying it's a possibility here, especially considering what's being said here about using like his flames to balance himself like Iron Man. I don't know for sure, but if you have seen panels with him missing his legs or whatever, let me know in the comments. I mean, you are going to anyway. He analyzes the situation, seeing that Shoto has a body strong enough to withstand the heat of his flash fire and produce ice cold enough to overpower his flames. But he doesn't stop for a second and already starts directing all of his heat towards the ground. Shoto realizes that he has lost focus and will need to repair his attack again. The huge pillars of flame emerge from the ground, and Dabi shouts that it is not possible to change the tracks of your life, and they represent the limit of superhuman society. The two are destined to follow similar paths. So I guess we're seeing like, you know, one of the standard, you know, big villain-esque attacks where they direct like their power or whatever into the ground and then it shoots out in like these huge pillars. And also further going into the dichotomy of personalities here between Dabi and Shoto. One very negative and one, you know, kind of positive. The flames start to bend and we see that the three sidekicks are covered in wounds, but doing their best to alleviate the situation. They say they agree with everything Shoto said and fall to the ground, causing him to apologize, and for Burden to repeat what he said earlier, that thanking or apologizing is a waste of energy. Even so, he shouts, "Thank you so much." We see a sequence inside Shoto's head with him saying that he always thought he was a lonely existence because of his blood and his past. But after a while, he realized that wasn't quite the case, that everyone was much closer than he imagined. We see a panel of many of the students facing him and many moments they experienced together, as Shoto concentrates all his power and remembers Mount Lady's advice during the interview train. So I guess this is like the classic shonen friendship power-up inner monologue thing, you know, that we see from time to time in these series. And hey, you know, it makes sense because, you know, this is bringing Shoto, you know, once again full circle. This is more of his character arc, more of him realizing who he is as a person, something that he's been struggling with literally the entire series. And like I said, since this is the end, we're going to start getting this stuff now. And as for what he's talking about with Mount Lady, I think that's in reference to chapter 241 when they were doing that interview stuff. And she said, "Your ultimate moves symbolize you. It's through those moves that people learn what you're capable of. Then you can prepare for impromptu team-ups and combos and warn people of villains and crimes. This way, everyone trusts you enough to put their lives in your hands. Shouting out the names of your ultimate moves isn't just for show. There's plenty of meaning behind it." So, like I said, I think this is what he's referencing, and it's pretty apropos to this moment. He propels himself forward and stops right next to Dabi, saying that it is possible to change the course of your life, no matter how difficult it may be. Then please stop. Like I said, dichotomy of the personalities here goes back to Dabi's negative rhetoric. The next page is a huge sphere of light. Shoto's new technique. He calls it the Great Frozen Tidal Bore, and it is strong enough to freeze all of the buildings and the trees in the vicinity. On the last page, we see two panels showing Shoto and Toya as a child, both crying, while in the present, the two are motionless. End of chapter. So that's interesting. That kind of parallels to what was going on with Izuku and Shigaraki. We saw the same kind of thing happen with them. So I wonder if this is going to happen with all the villains, or maybe we'll also see it with like Uraraka and Toga, because, you know, one of the common themes that they have is that what happened in their childhoods kind of led them to where they are now. But as for the result of this attack, it looks like Dabi, at least to me, from what I could see, I can't perfectly see it, maybe some of you can, but it looks like he's almost completely frozen and pretty much done at this point. And I'm thinking this might signify that Shoto has won. Now, I don't know if this is just going to stop here. I assume that the aftermath of this is going to be shown in the next chapter for sure, and then maybe halfway through the next chapter or at the end of the next chapter we'll go into whatever the next portion of this arc is. But it's looking like Shoto has won, which I guess most of us expected. I don't think there was going to be a twist where he dies or they both die or something like that. But it ultimately comes down to what's going to happen with Dabi here. Is Dabi going to like go to prison or something, or is Dabi going to sacrifice himself, which I assume a lot of us think. But I don't know, it just seems like he will die at some point, and I would be surprised if he does have like a redemption or like a change of heart or something, because he's so far gone. But this is my hero, and things like that could happen. But let me know what you think about this chapter in the comments, guys, and if you liked it, please give a like and please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.